Okay, let's get back to Shara Yichud. Second paragraph, 138, second paragraph. That we're able to fathom or to grasp something intellectually, it's because of one of three things. We have physical senses, for instance. Kiros, cheshemach, ketam, kereach, kemishush. How do you know something exists? Well, I see it. That visual. How do you know the fact? I heard it. How do you know it's cold out? Because I walked outside and I felt it was cold. So we come upon reality through our physical senses. Sheni b'derech sichlenu. It's through our intellect. Vushar ha'royo al dover ha'nimso b'simonov ha'masov. You make an evaluation. You walk outside and there's a crossfire. So what does your intelligence tell you? Or there are cars going. Do you walk into oncoming traffic? So your intelligence tells you it's dangerous, right? So you don't go there. So through our intellect and through our senses, we come upon the reality of situations in life, right? That's one of two ways to come upon something. Right? That's called discretion. Musa Haskel. What's Musa Haskel? You know, you have to learn a lesson. You have certain experiences in life. Some people, they don't learn their experience. It's called Musa Haskel. You know, some people, they make a mistake once. They don't make that mistake again because they learned well from the mistake they made. That's Musa Haskel. They drew a lesson through their intellect. They drew a lesson. But it's not simple. Some people, they don't learn from their mistakes. They do it and go back and back and back again. Right? Every year we do tshuva on Yom Kippur. What do we do in tshuva? For the same aver we did throughout our lives. Hopefully you did it less, to a lesser degree. But what happens if the next year it was not to a lesser degree? So evidently you didn't learn your lesson. The third is Hagoda Hamitis, truthful and reliable tradition. Right? How do we know we have a neshama? How do you know you have? How does anybody know he has a neshama? Moshe, how do you know you have a neshama? By who? Yeah, well, he's the expert on the neshama, right? The reason why we know we have a neshama because there was a Kabbalah Torah at Sinai. That's how we know we have a neshama. Every aspect of a spirituality, it's rooted factually in Sinai. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed everything at Sinai to us. That's how we know everything. That's Haggadah. Could you figure out you have a neshama? Can't figure out you have a neshama. It's not relevant to your intellect to come upon it because you notice it, your analysis, or your senses has nothing to do with that. So many things we know, right? A Navi is a Navi. How do you know a Navi is a Navi? The Navi knows he's a Navi because he has the experience. But now when he communicates his prophecy to you, how do you know he's telling you the truth? So what? So the Rambam said maybe it's kishuf. Maybe it's through sorcery. The answer is because the Torah says that if a Navi goes and he meets certain criteria, you accept his words as fact. That's a Navi emes. So what is it that's based upon? That's Torah. That's Masorah. That's the Masorah SaTorah.
You're getting it.
What? Shama has nothing to do with it. No. Something else. That's what he said. It's a conscience. Person born a conscience, and you have inclinations. You have this. You have that. But no, so that's Kabbalah. That's tradition. That's why it's called tradition. But what's it rooted? It's not something we could have ever figured out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to reveal it at Sinai, certain facts, certain principles and fundamentals. Otherwise, there's no way to know it. Every. Yes. How do you know what happened? How did, every human being has a neshama. Everything we know about anything is Sinai. No, he's just telling you factually.
Factually, there are three ways you can understand. Physically, intellectually.
You want to know something? You want to know why? Factually, we speak of schar v'onish, right? There's yiras ha'onish, the very levels of fear. Fear of punishment, reverence, different things. We speak about what punishment is. Suffering. If a person would not have a frame of reference what suffering is, what's going to hold him back from not doing the Aveira? Right? So everything interplays. So you have your senses, you have your intellect, and you have the Kabbalah. Everything interplays. If a person is not fearful of anything, of course, he can't relate to the consequence at any level. So a person is inclined to do the Aveira, he's going to do the Aveira. Right? What's the holdback? But if you know you're going to pay a price, so how do you understand what it means to pay a price? No, the Kabbalah is the price. But if you don't have senses to understand what fire is and what pain is, right, to make that analysis, so what? What is that? So then there's nothing to hold you back. So you have to have all three simultaneously interplaying with one another, and each one complements the other. Tosas in Shabbos and Reb Kiva cites a medrash. What happens at Kabbalah Torah? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu opened all seven heavens and opened the earth to its depths and showed Klal Yisrael nobody exists outside of him in existence. There's no other power in existence other than him. That's Ein Od Milvado. Nothing exists except him. It's only because he communicated that. And this was part of the Nevuah. They were Nevi'im. Well, every Jew at Sinai was a Navi. Navi means that Kadosh Baruch Hu communicated. But it was Peh el Peh. It was Panim el Panim. Since to be able to fathom the HaKadosh Baruch Hu through our senses, we only can relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and see his imprint is through his interaction with existence. Just conclude with this. We say it doesn't make certain things don't make sense, but does that mean say there's one God? Maybe there are multiple powers. That's Kabbalah. We have a Kabbalah. After we have all our evaluations and our reflections on reality, that confirms our Kabbalah, our tradition. You understand? If you don't start with the reality of who Hashem is, which comes through Kabbalah, Masorah, we see things, we have questions. Maybe yes, maybe not. It makes sense what you're saying, but it's not conclusive. Because maybe you're unaware of something else, and that's why this is your conclusion. But I have a Kabbalah. So our senses and our intellect reinforces and secures what our Kabbalah is, what our tradition is. So that's what we discussed this. Avram Avinu never found God. God found him. He had questions, and he wasn't willing to succumb to the answers until HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ani balabira. Adam HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly created him. He spoke to him. Adam, I mean, of course, he spoke to him. So the Navi knows that there's a God. The Navi speaks to him. But how are you qualified to be a Navi? Adam, because he was created. He was God's handiwork. That's how we know. Okay, let's see the Gemara in Kedusha. It's interesting. We're speaking about such basic fundamentals to Yiddishkeit. Basic fundamentals. The average Jew, I'm not even talking about the person who's totally disconnected from Yiddishkeit. The average Jew doesn't know what we're talking about, doesn't understand this. With him, why is there a God? Because there's a God. Why do I keep Shabbos? Because my father, that's why I went to day school. The essence of what it is, you build a building 100 stories. Unless that foundation is minimally, I don't know how many stories into the ground, that building's is not going to stand. It's going to collapse. It's all Torah education, it's environment, it's multiple things interplaying. If a person, because if the temptations are, there's so many winds that are blowing, it's the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. If the roots are deep, based on the pasuk, so all the winds cannot topple that tree, because the roots are so deep. But if the roots are shallow, a wind comes, just topples the tree, and that's our generation. The questions, the desires, everything, the distractions, can't weather the storm, and that's why this generation looks the way it looks.